Hello and welcome to In This Corner. I'm James Smith. Mi vida loca, my crazy life. That's the way Johnny Tapia describes his very own life. A life filled with triumph and tragedy, and way more than one man's share of drama, trauma, and abuse. Johnny Tapia has captured 5 world titles in 2 weight divisions, and he's been in there against some of the best fighters and some of the greatest battles. Fights with Paulie Ayala, Marco Antonio Barrera, and Danny Romero, just to name a few. But none of Johnny Tapia's in-ring exploits compare to his tempestuous and tumultuous life outside of the squared circle. Johnny candidly tells us about his tragic childhood, his roller coaster boxing career, and the constant battle with his inner demons that still haunt him to this day. Today is a day that Johnny may never have seen if not for his saving grace, his wife Teresa, who shares with us all the drama in the life of Mi Vida Loca. His other saving grace is his tremendous boxing talent. With more than 50 wins and 5 world titles in a career that has spanned 4 decades, Johnny Tapia most likely will be enshrined in the Boxing Hall of Fame in Canastota, New York. We had the privilege to climb inside the ring with Johnny, who gives us some pugilistic lessons on the skills that have enabled him to be so successful inside the squared circle. All of this and more coming up on In This Corner. Johnny Tapia seemed destined for a life of tragedy since birth. The violent deaths of his parents seemed to start him out on a path towards devastation. Instead, it would lead Tapia into the boxing ring and give him the edge he feels has led him and so many other fighters to greatness. Johnny feels there's an uncommon bond that so many fighters share, and that bond is usually one with roots in poverty, hardship, tragedy, and toughness. The Johnny Tapia story is way beyond any Hollywood script.
When I was in my mother's stomach, they shot my father at gunpoint. And when I was 7 years old, I went off a cliff 100 feet down, 80 feet down, off a bus accident with a lady went through the windshield, and we flipped 80 times, and she died in front of. We hit her through. She went out through the windshield, landed on a tree, we squashed her. She died with her. She was pregnant. Her name was Concha. When I was 8 years old, I ended up doing. My mother died. When I was 8, my mother died. She got stabbed 22 times with a knife, picked, and raped.
How did that experience from that point on change your life and affect your life forever? I mean, that's about as tragic as it can be, the loss of your mother, and a horrific loss, a tragic loss at such a young age.
Well, not just my mother, my father, it took everything from me. But, my grandma and grandpa they tried providing for me, and they took me to school, and my grandpa adopted me. And, gave me whatever he had, and I took after his footsteps in boxing. And there was 8 brothers and sisters of his kids that were my aunties and uncles that I lived with too in a 3-bedroom house. So, my grandpa provided for us.
How much did these tragedies at such an early age, did that guide you into boxing?
I took after my grandfather's footsteps. And knowing that my grandpa was a CC champion in Las Vegas, New Mexico, I ended up taking boxing at 9 years old after my mom died. I got my first fight when I was 11 as an amateur, and I haven't stopped boxing since.
I would say if there's a type A personality, you're probably a triple A, I would think. Now, were you diagnosed as a youngster for hyperactivity or anything like that?
I was diagnosed with everything. I mean, ADD, ADHD, bipolar, PCDC. I've had all those combined in one, and it's really hard to keep me in one spot.
Did they have you on medication as a kid growing up?
I've tried everything. I've been on Redlands. I've been Wellbutrins. I've tried everything, but that's not my cup of tea. I like to be myself. I can't be myself. Why'd be here?
Johnny, is there a reason why so many fighters, the great fighters that I sit down with, even all the way back in the past to the Willie Peps and the Sandy Sandlers, and there just always seems to be some edge that they have to them. Is this what, in fact, you think makes them great fighters? These traumatic experiences, the tragedies that you have, the edge out. What creates these great fighters from such tragic beginnings?
You know, when you got everything and you're raised with everything, it's really hard to struggle to get something because you have it all. But when you had a lot of tragedy, you want to survive because people's always kicking you down saying, you ain't going to make it. You can't do that. You can't do this. So there's a borderline where you say, I could, and I will. A lot of fighters, you've seen their backgrounds come from, well, you know, Joe Frazier had the left hook, but his mom couldn't pay him to take him to the hospital to fix his arm. And it's just Chavez. You see all these people, they come from poor families trying to raise their family, and they'd rather be out on the stretcher than be on their back because they'll get up.
I've always said that, to me, boxers, fighters, are the most common and uncommon of all athletes.
That's true. I mean, you want to know a lot of stuff, look in the boxing game. I love boxing, but I don't like the business of it.
What do you love most about boxing?
The one-on-one combat. The fans that make Johnny Tapia, the people that go and see him and provide for me. It's such a beautiful thing. I ain't afraid and ashamed to say anything. Because I am who I am. You know, you either gonna like me or hate me, but 9 times out of 10 you'll like me because I ain't the bad guy.
There's no gray area with Johnny Tapia.
I'm gonna tell you the truth.
What you see is what...
I'm gonna tell you the truth, and if it's gonna hurt me, it's gonna hurt me. If it's gonna make it better, it will. So I don't like lying. That's not my cup of tea.
Johnny Tapia feels each day alive as a blessing. Perhaps his biggest blessing was meeting and marrying wife Teresa, who talks openly and candidly about living with Mi Vida Loca. With all of his past tragedies and with all of his outside-the-ring drama, many he created for himself, and with all of his personal demons and addictions, for Johnny Tapia, inside the boxing ring is truly his safest haven and the one place he finds peace.
You know, when anybody does drugs, especially cocaine, the first time's a mistake, second time's a habit. Took me to another level, and I battled drugs for all my life. I mean, I battled drugs for a long time, and since 1990, it took me to another level. And my boxing career, they took my license away from me, the state of New Mexico, and I didn't have nothing else to look forward to. So I just went off on a mission.
So you're out of the ring from 91 through 94.
90 to 94.
And what did you do during that period to stay afloat?
I had money from my years of boxing, but I just hustled. Just do what any man has to do to survive. And I was in rehabs. I tried to quit. And when my wife took over, I ended up quitting and getting my life back together.
He had been a professional fighter for 88 to 1990, right, on top of his game, getting ready for a title shot, signed a deal with Pepsi for $1 million commercial, did all the right things, and then tested dirty and got kicked out. And then just everything went downhill from there. Lost everything he ever had, all the money he had, houses, cars, everything he had was gone. And that's when I met him, when he was at his lowest. He had nothing. He was living on the streets. I didn't know that at the time, but he was living just from house to house, friend to friend. He did everything illegal that he could to make money. That was his life. But I didn't know that because he never displayed that towards me, or I never witnessed anything.
Were you using cocaine even prior to that? So it was just something where, but once you started, where you're an addictive personality, we've talked about that before, was it something where once you tried it, you're hooked?
But the situation, it's a rich man habit, all the poor man got it. But you know, it's an awful drug. It'll take you to another level.
So I took drastic measures. I had a little apartment for myself that I was living in. It had wrought iron on every door and window that there was. And when he got out of jail, didn't say anything. I let him come home, and I locked him in. And he didn't know where the keys were, and I wouldn't tell anybody. And so he was locked in there. And I'm not kidding you. He would not get out for nothing. I would not open the door. He went crazy. Let me tell you, if you've ever witnessed anybody going through drug withdrawals, that's the worst hell there is. But I didn't care. At that point, I was so fed up. It was either you're going to do it or you're not. But you're gonna do it here. You know, I'm not playing your game. So And we went.
How long did that go on?
2 months. And the first week was more of a sickness, where his bones were aching, all these things were happening. Second week it was anger. He broke everything, threw everything, did all this stuff. Third week there was resentment and, the mental abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, not physical, but everything else. Fourth week there was a change. He started doing sit-ups and push-ups and kind of just jogging around our little place, and he just started eating better, and we actually started talking, and it was starting to get to the point where we could actually tolerate each other. But we went through it, and then by the 5th week, he was actually doing good. By the 6th week, I was letting him out in the morning to go run with his trainer and come home, and then in the evening once to go out to train and come back. Then they said he had a fight in March 27th of 1994 was his comeback date. And they said it'd be in Oklahoma against James Jaime Alvera in Tulsa, Oklahoma, under the Tommy Morrison card. And I said, okay, no problem. I didn't know if I wanted him to fight. I didn't know anything about the game. All I knew was he'd abused his body so much that I knew of. Can you imagine what he did all that other time? I didn't know what I felt about that. But I wanted him to be happy. If that was his decision, fine, as long as he was happy. But he still wasn't getting out of the house. So finally, after 2 months of being locked up, then I started kind of releasing a little bit of the hold.
I came back in '94 and I won the USBA title. And then 3 months after that, I won an ABF title. 6 months after that, I won a WBO, a world title. 13 title defenses of the WBO.
And it wasn't even that, I could say he came back in March of 1994 and he was great. The problems never stopped. It was always there. And he did well in the ring. He was knocking people out left and right. When he won the NABF title in July or June of that year, of '94. After that, he got arrested again. He didn't come home one night. I mean, it was a big mess.
My baby does everything for me. She's my angel on my back. She's my baby. She does my manager. She's my manager. First, she's my wife. She's my best friend. She does anything and everything she's got to do. She's a beautiful mother. There's nothing much I can say. If I lost her, I would lose myself.
I mean, it was a roller coaster from bad to worse, bad to worse. It was never good.
Would you go through it again?
Probably not. And if I had been older, maybe I probably wouldn't have went through this. But a good thing, I guess, I was young, and for him, because
would he have made it through all of that without you?
Probably not. But like I said in the beginning, I don't know how much I helped or enabled, what you want to call it, because I didn't know any better.
I wouldn't change it. It made me a bigger and better person. And everything that I've been through, I've done, been to jail and accused of, I blame it all on myself.
All I know is the Johnny I see on a day-to-day basis. Every night before you go to bed with him, I mean, his whole thing is when we're in our room, it's kind of like he breathes a sigh of relief because he's made it through another day, and that's probably the happiest you'll see him because he's accomplished one more day. But then it starts all over, and as soon as the morning hits, you see that depressed Johnny where he's sitting there and he has to face another day, and he always says, I don't know if I have the strength to get through this day. And he's let me be very candid about this now, but he didn't used to, but he can't handle even looking in the mirror, and I mean, it's just, he's a very hyper person, as you know, and he seems so full of life, but he struggles to get there.
I was gladly to come back and survive and to prove to people no matter how much times you fall, you can still pick yourself up and be successful. I'm not I don't want to be a legend or a living proof or a hero to anybody, because God is my hero, and I walk with that and I talk that, but I have problems today, but I take it one day at a time. And
my goal in life, it's not to see Johnny a 6 or 7-time world champion. It's not to see him the richest man in the world. All my goal is to see Johnny reach, this ripe old age. I mean, I'll take him till 80, 90 years old. If I can accomplish that, then that is my biggest, and most successful goal that I've had with him. I'm surrounded with beautiful people right now. And I don't want to take that other way anymore. I don't got no more lives.
Johnny Tapia was always a fan favorite. his AAA personality permeates through him inside the boxing ring, and his fights always seem to be entertaining and action-packed. To go along with all that energy, heart, and raw talent, there are some tremendous boxing skills and techniques which have garnered him 5 world titles. In this corner steps inside the ring with Johnny Tapia. What are you looking for when a guy comes out at you? What are you looking at? How do you start your offense?
Your eyes. If I go back to you and I'm in the corner and I'm in the ring and you don't look at me back, I got you. But if you look back at me and you're serious, it's a war. So then, if he comes out like this. I started with you before. Either straight right hands, or I'll let you come and I'll give you a nice good jab and let you know that I'm here too.
How much of your offense is dictated off what the guy's doing, or do you just get in there and it just happens?
I just get in there and it happens. It's not that I study, but I try to take you out the game plan right away. I just go and I do what I got to do, and that's just wins everything. And I'm going to get hit or whatever I got to do, I'm going to win it.
One of your best weapons, and has been for quite some time, is that shotgun jab. Give us a demonstration of shotgun jab and what you're looking to do with it when you throw that punch.
Basically, a shotgun jab is a speed and power. You put your right leg forward, your right leg back, your left foot forward, and you push off your right around. So it's strong. It also, what it does to a fighter is you're right here, you throw it hard, you pick up his head, and then you throw the right. See, when then I'm not here, and I'm not right here. The fighter throws the right, I'm in.
Right.
So as I throw the shotgun jab, as I throw it hard, I make sure I get in before he don't connect me with another shot.
So you're throwing a punch, you're landing a punch, you're scoring a point, and at the same time you're getting yourself in position to not be hit.
I'm trying to hurt him also too. I'm trying to hit, not be hit, but most of the time I'm stubborn. Everybody knows that. I won't take a shot, but I don't want to do that now. I got form 1, I want to try to do it, walk out good.
You believe in the body attack. You're a big believer in that. How important is body punching in the arsenal of Johnny Tapia?
Well, Johnny Tapia, you can hit him in the face all night. Please don't hit my body. I mean, every fighter I've tried, he don't like body shots.
You remember those. They don't go away.
They stay for about a minute and a half.
But what about, who did you develop your style of body punching from?
Chavez. Julio Cesar Chavez.
That's the left hook to the body, or to the liver. In fact, he actually knew, he was probably an expert on the liver, wasn't he?
Yeah, so was Tyson.
And how do you set that up? If I'm a guy fighting you and I'm throwing a left jab, how do you set
I
up?
would counter that jab, throw the jab, counter.
Right there. Okay.
Or I would throw straight right after he throws the jab. See where I'm at? Make it where you're at.
Why don't we see as much body punching today?
A lot of headhunters. Everybody wants to see a mark on your face and black eye and a blue. Body's everything in the boxing game. I mean, to wear down your opponent. But some fighters just don't go. They're not so strong. So that's when I had the technique to go back to boxing.
One of the other things you do is you slip punches so well. Is it head movement? Is it shoulder movement? Where do you get this tremendous ability to not get hit?
A lot from the amateurs is counter punching. Like if you would throw a jab and block it, see, it's a little counter shot. But what I would basically do, wait till you throw that, then you go throw the right. So you slip, see, little shot.
Now, how much of that is reflexes, or how much of that is savvy? Or is it a little both?
I think both. See, I already know where you're going to throw it. And once I hit that liver, everybody hits a liver, he hits a liver.
Do you see a guy's punches coming? Or do you watch, is there something in him that you watch for?
Chest. Basically, chest. I should come. If I go this side, I know you can't jab no more, see? I catch you going into my hook.
Great teams, great athletes, when it's crunch time, they go to their bread and butter. What's the bread and butter punch or combination or maneuver for Johnny Tapia?
A 1, 2, 3 body shot. It's 1, 2, 3.
And then you finish it off with that left hook to the body.
If he falls, I'll hit him. If he stays up, I'll give him on hitting. But I'm going to hurt him some way, somehow.
Even before we shot this interview in August of 2003, Johnny Tapia had been declared dead once and near death at least 3 other times. Unfortunately, since this interview, it's been much of the same. In and out of rehab, in and out of hospitals, in and out of jail. Johnny feels he has worn thin his 9 lives and now must battle one day at a time just to survive. Here's hoping that Tapia keeps what may be the last of his 9 lives in check, and the Johnny Tapia story which has been filled with so much outside tragedy and in-ring triumph, will perhaps have a happy ending. In This Corner wants to thank Johnny Tapia for joining us.
This is my special room, my special door. It's still, everything I have in here is all special for me. And this is it, buddy. This is my dream come true for all this. 26 years of all this right here, saving, collecting, just pride and joy. All my boxing, different things, Jordans, you know, stuff that you buy on eBay, and just whatever I can have. All idols, Bruce Lee, Big Idol. You have all, you know, all the Native American foods and special gifts of canes and all my belts.